Hello, welcome to Patrice's Projects. Today what we're doing is we're digging out the strawberry bed. If any of you follow me on Facebook, you'll know that this just did wonderfully last year, but not only has the soil compressed down and it needed more compost, but I have a privet tree right up above you, and the roots of it have invaded all of my beds. So let me get pitchfork and show you what I'm talking about. Strawberries do not have a huge root system, but what I'm coming across is just solid root matter. And so what I'm doing is I'm shaking all of the soil out of all this mess, trying to remove as many roots as possible. And I'm going to take the soil out and put that landscape fabric underneath here, and it's going to be a chore, but the strawberries from here on down I didn't want to keep anyway. These produced pretty well. I didn't care much for the strawberries, and they didn't produce during the fall. The only ones I really liked were the ones there on the end, and so I'm going to spread those out. And I planted some seeds from some of them not long ago. I'm waiting on them to come up. If they come up, it's an experiment, but I hope they do. Otherwise, I'll just go and see if I can find more of that variety. It's called Albion, and it is developed at UC Davis, which is not far from here. So that is one of the reasons I got them, is because they're local. Oops, I don't want those in there. So I'm going to dig as much soil out of here as I can, get the landscape fabric down, put the soil back in, and then replant. Also add a bunch of compost. So I will let you follow along step by step. After they're pretty much removed, get the soil. My son has the shovel right now. He's removing weeds from a certain part of the yard, so this is all I got. But hey, as long as we're both working, huh? So here is what I'm dealing with, and all of these roots are attached, and they're coming up from the soil. You can tell by the direction. Let me see if I can show you of this big one. See how the roots are coming out that way? When roots grow, they grow down into the soil, and then they will fork off downward. These are going upward into my bed. You can especially see it on like this one, where this set of roots is going up. So they're all coming up from the ground. This one, you can see it as well. They're going upward into the soil, and it's also much thinner here than it is down here at the base. So I'm gonna cut all those off as short as I can and lay the landscape fabric down. Okay, so I've emptied out the box only this far, so about a little less than a third. But I'm going to go ahead and cut the landscape fabric and start putting the soil back over. What I noticed is my soil is pretty dry, and the worms were really lethargic. And so I put some moisture into the soil I removed, and I want to get it put back in here as soon as possible. So this is not good landscape fabric. I got this on sale, clearance thing over at Walmart at the end of the season last year. So I know it's not going to last very long, but as long as it lasts for a year or two until I can get my husband to let me cut this tree down, then I think we'll be good. What I did just now is I measured it from side to side and gave myself another couple inches, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut it straight across. At least that's the plan. And this, I'll show you, does have holes through it. It's not just a solid piece of plastic. So the water can get out of the bed. And this will actually help, because here in California we get into triple digits during the summer frequently, and in the 90s is just normal. So it will help to retain water. So let me show you what this stuff looks like. Okay, let me see if I can focus there. You can see all the little holes in it. I'm going to go ahead and staple it to the sides of the box just a little bit, just so that while we're putting the soil in, it's not just pushing the fabric down and leaving big gaps for the roots to get through. So that's what we're going to do right now as soon as I locate the stapler. Oh, thank you. Good thing it's not a windy day today. Otherwise, this would be more difficult. So I should probably move the camera over here. And here you see, I've taken it all the way down to the native soil, and in fact, at some areas I've even gone beyond that, which is fine because the more soil in here, the better. So I'm running it up about that far on both sides. And the reason I didn't just cut it lengthwise is because then I'd have had this leftover long strip, which I didn't need. This is going to be an awkward angle to staple. And I don't need a lot of staples in it because it's just so that it stays in place while we're putting the first of the soil in. Make sure it's all the way down so it doesn't just tear out. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put some of the soil back over to here. After we get the soil in about to where the level was before, then I'm going to put some compost and mix it in the top couple inches. So while Ian is working on getting the roots chopped up over here and then getting the soil put into that side, I'm going to start digging out the strawberry plants that I wanted to keep. And what I've decided to do, because I have nowhere to put them while we do this, I'm going to dig them out and put them into this bag and moisten them while they're in there and put them in the shade. And hopefully by the end of a couple hours we're planting them back in here. Some of these strawberries unfortunately go all the way to the very edges, so I'm going to start with the ones that are a little bit more open. I have no idea how many roots I'm destroying because, like I said, these beds are just covered in roots. So I'm going to attempt to separate these. This one has a sucker, which, or sucker in these? No, when they... Anyway, it has one of these things on it. I can't think right now. I'm going to leave all the extra roots on this one for right now because I don't want to disturb it any more than necessary. And I'll shake all that soil out and get all the excess roots out later. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all of these out, get them put into here, moisten it, and then we're going to work the whole bed down. Okay, we've got the whole bed emptied out. Got landscape fabric all the way to the other end here. And now Ian's going to dump the last of the soil that was in there. And we went actually about 4 inches down at some places into the native soil, accidentally, maybe 3. But he's going to level all that out, and I'm going to go grab some compost to throw on top. Okay, we're just about done leveling, and I watered it so that, I mentioned already that the soil was kind of dry, and I didn't want that, so this way when I put the compost and start mixing it in, it's already nice and moist, and the worms won't suffer as much. Okay, you see I still have plenty of space between the soil that I already took out and the top of the bed, so we're going to put that, it's about 4 inches down from the top right now, so we're shooting for 2 inches from the top. Mix it up and see how that does for us this year. I kicked the bucket. I am a very, very skilled walker. Okay, we put almost a couple inches of compost on here, and now I'm digging it into the first couple of inches because the compost dries really fast as compared to the soil that was already in here, which had a lot of compost in it already, but I just want to make sure to get some of that heavier stuff toward the top so that the moisture stays in the soil. And then also that weed fabric, or that landscape fabric, I'm really good, is going to help to retain the moisture, so I'm happy about that. And now it's time to put in our strawberries. So what I'm going to be doing is taking off as much of the dead stuff as possible. Looks like most of this is its own roots. Hard to tell, but it's still nice and moist. The roots are not compromised. I'm just going to go ahead and start at this end of the bed and get them put in. I want my roots to go all the way down the way they were to begin with. And when you're planting strawberries, I'll bring you in close in a minute, you don't want to bury the crown, and that is where the leaves come out from the root area. There's a little area there that's called the crown, and I'll show you what that is. So I'm going to maybe put one here and then one there, and just like do them checkerboard style all the way down until I run out of strawberries, and hopefully that's pretty far toward the other end of the bed. Unfortunately, I don't have enough to crowd the bed, which would be optimal because, like I said, it gets super hot here in California, and so by putting them close together, when they're just starting to come out of dormancy right now, but when they come out of dormancy and fill out, it protects them to have them a little bit closer together. But let me bring in a little bit closer and I'll show you what I'm doing here. Let's go ahead and put one right here. I'm going to put it pretty close to the corner. That way, hopefully, I get runners. And that's what that one thing, not a sucker, it was a runner. These didn't get good runners last year. I only had a few, and that was in the fall. The previous year, I had gotten them in the fall, and quite a few, but mostly from that other variety that was in the middle that produced well, but didn't produce all the way through the summer like these did. These did the best at how long they produced. The berries were of nice flavor and decent size. Kind of a neat shape. They were elongated, kind of. So, taking off all this dead stuff, and I see I have two plants here. Trying to get those separated. This right here, where the leaves are coming out from the whole root area, there's a firmer part right there. The crown would be right here, so you don't want to bury up above where the leaves are already coming out, like the stems. You want to bury it right to there and no further. You can mulch higher than that, but you don't want the soil higher than that. So I'm just going to hold it at the level I want it at and throw a handful of compost in there. I'm sure I already have enough compost in this soil, but because these are already coming out of dormancy, then I thought I'd give them as much of a head start as possible. And I planted it right up to where the leaf stems are coming out of the root area. And then I firm it up a little bit. We also watered the soil more after we leveled it out so that it could soak in, and so the worms have a nice moist area. They're going to be loving it, their new home now, because it's got all that compost in there. And one more, and then I'll just go ahead and finish planting the bed out after this one and show you what it looks like when I'm all done. I'm going to get it a little bit closer, because I think I do want to get another, at least one pack of strawberries. So I have nice new ones that will send out the runners. So I have younger plants. This one looks like a younger plant. This one, the first one I did, looked a little bit older. And the one I showed you up close. Did I get some compost in there? There we go. Just like that. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and finish this bed up, and I'll show you what I end up with. Good morning. Yes, it is the third day, and I'm still working on the strawberry bed. But there's a couple things I wanted to show you before I finish it out. And also yesterday, I always do videos on garbage day. It's so noisy. But yesterday, I had gone to church in the morning, and that lasted until noon because we do the second service. And I just wanted to show you, this is one plant, and I'll bring it up there to you. So this is what the roots of this strawberry had to contend with. And let me bring it over here and shake some of this stuff out and show you what the actual roots of this strawberry are. They were just choked out with this privet tree. And I have worms just covering my soil, so I want to make sure to save the worms. And here's one of the little privet tree seedlings. They're covering this bed as well, and I'm sure they're going to pop up everywhere. So, okay, oh, a little bit more there. All right. This is the actual strawberries roots. That's it. All the rest, all of this is the privet from that pile. Okay, the strawberry bed is finally planted out. I left a space here on the end to buy a new pack of strawberries, or if my seeds sprout in the garden room, some of them will go there. I'm sure I won't have good germination because, again, I let the seeds or the strawberries dry up a little bit more than they should have probably. But I know that I'm going to get production on these because a lot of them already have some fruit on them. Should have probably cut those off, but I just can't resist the temptation of having fruit sooner. So that is a lot of strawberry plants. What I ended up doing was just squeezing them in really tight so that I was just hoping I'd have some leftover space for the other plants there on the end. Because once a strawberry hits about 3 years old, it's going to either not produce or produce very little. So some of these plants are already 2 years old, maybe some are 3, but I know that I'm going to get production this year, and then I'll probably pull some of these and hopefully be able to seed some more off of them and just keep growing the same variety. And it's probably a hybrid, so I'm not sure what I'm going to get. I'm just hoping I get something really similar to what I've been growing out here. So thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and do that now. And then click the bell button so you get notifications of my upcoming videos. And these birds are dropping stuff all over the place. So I'm going to get out of here. I'll talk to you later. Bye.